In this 8th lesson on the CAGED system, you'll now begin part 1 of 2 covering major arpeggios rooted in the C, A, G, E, and D chord forms of the CAGED system. Today, you'll be focusing on C, A, and G arpeggios, and then you'll learn to play a couple of melodies that will help you put these into context to show you how they might be applied. All right? Let's go. But before we do, make sure you hit that red button right down there in the corner to subscribe to Outsmart Your Guitar. And if you ring the notification bell, you'll be notified when new content is posted, which is usually about once a week. Outsmart Your Guitar is also on Patreon. So go over there and subscribe at one of 2 levels to help continue to support my efforts to provide you with high quality lesson material to help you learn, play, and grow to become the guitar player you desire to be, to play the music you love, even write your own songs. Okay? All right, let's get to the lesson. The first arpeggio will be using the C form. Well, you already know the C form, right? Here I'm playing it in G at the 10th fret. Now, arpeggios are basically playing everything one note at a time. And I've added a note up here. I've added this because it already exists within the structure of the arpeggio, so we're just adding an extra one. Now, you'll notice that in demonstrating this, I picked each note individually, but that's not actually how you really play an arpeggio. While I was using the economy approach, which I'll talk about here in a second, you actually don't pick the notes individually like this. You flow into them by dragging the pick across the string and touching the next string. And then you play that string and you let the pick go into the next string, play that, next string, play that, play that. Now when you have 2 notes on one string, you just go back to alternate picking. And now in reverse, we do all upstrokes. So you're actually dragging the pick in the direction that you're playing the notes. Here we drag it in downstrokes. Here upstrokes. This will give you more consistent flow and smooth execution. All right? So pause the video and practice this. If you've never done this technique, this is a good time to start learning to use the economy technique, because here's the reality. Arpeggios don't work if you cannot and do not use the economy picking technique. You can play them, but they won't sound quite as smooth and flowing if you pick the notes individually. And you can't play as fast if you pick them individually. If you want an arpeggio to go really quick. I'm not the fastest player, but you know, picking those individually at that tempo even, it's very hard. And it really won't work as well as dragging the pick across in the direction at, when required to get to the next note. You'll flow a lot quicker. It's a little awkward at first, but you'll get it. So again, pause the video, take your time here, really work through this, learn this technique, take your time. It's going to take a little time for this to feel comfortable, and that's okay. That's part of what we're doing here, is helping you learn and improve your techniques, even adding new techniques like the economy technique. If you're familiar with this technique, great, you can move forward. Otherwise, pause the video, take the time, really dig into this, get yourself understanding it, okay? Then when you're ready to move forward, press play and we'll move forward. The second arpeggio you'll learn now is based on the A form. Here I'm playing it in D, just because. The first arpeggio, the left diagram, is pretty straightforward. Not a lot to it. Again, if you want to pause and practice this, do so. This is the beauty of this format. If you want to rewind and watch the demonstration again, you can do that as well. Practice this shape and then press play when you're ready to continue. The second form, the one on the right, we're going to add a couple of extra notes. Now, because we're playing this F sharp here, we can add this F sharp here on the 4th fret on the 4th string. We can also add another root tone way up here. So we're going to extend the arpeggio by 2 extra notes. And that goes like this. You start with your second finger, not your first. Again, follow the picking direction. Pause the video. Practice this. Play through it. Don't gloss over this. You want to do this, if only to improve your picking technique. It's not just the economy technique that you're learning, but you're also learning more control over your pick, and that's always a good thing. Economy picking is really cool for helping you gain more control over your pick. Even if you don't generally use the economy approach, you will, by practicing the economy approach, improve your picking technique overall. All right? So after you pause this and practice through this a few times, go ahead and press play. I've got one more of the A form examples to show you. The third example of the A form here is a little bit different because we're going to be transferring this F sharp from the 4th string at the 4th fret up to the 9th fret of the 5th string. And when we're descending, we're going to be taking this A from the 1st string at the 5th fret and moving it to the 10th fret of the 2nd string. Otherwise, it's exactly the same sonically. So let me walk you through this. Start with your first finger. Go to your 4th finger at 9. Your 3rd finger at 7. Your 4th finger at 10 across both the 1st and the 2nd strings. Pause the video, and I want you to recognize what's going on here. We're starting in the A form, but then when we move here, we're borrowing a little from the G form, which we'll get to shortly. Back to the A form, borrowing again from the G form, back to the A form. So what we're doing is creating a hybrid or a blending of 2 forms to create an ascending and descending run. And that's kind of cool. Now, again, pause the video, practice this. Practice the picking technique. Get it smooth and flowing. And I haven't mentioned it before, but as with anything you're practicing, when you want to get it in time, put it to the metronome. Absolutely. And that will help you smooth it out. Okay? Then, when you're ready to continue, we'll move to the next segment. All right. In the documentation, you'll see there's a melody. Now I'm going to play through the melody here 2 times through, and then I'll break it down for you and help you understand what's going on. All right, here we go. 3, 4. All right, pretty straightforward. Clipping along around 84 or so beats a minute. That's full tempo. So now what am I doing? Well, I'm playing an A form with a little extra note in there. A little bit of melody here. Now I'm in a C form. Little melody. A form. C form. Okay? Now, if you need to review the melody to see what my picking is, to watch how that flows, go ahead and do that. Do exactly that. Learn this melody, get it down, and then put it to a metronome at a tempo where you can actually play it smooth and flowing. That's more important than playing it fast. Whatever that tempo is, now pull out your looper and record the progression, which is also in the documentation, at that tempo. And then play the melody over that backing track you just created, nice and smooth and flowing. All right? So pause the video, go and make that happen. Take your time here. This video will be here. You can come back and pick up where you left off. But learn this. Don't skip over this. Actually learn this and do this. Gain the knowledge and insight through doing. Then come on back and we'll keep moving forward. All right, the next arpeggio is rooted in the G form of the CAGED system. So, you know, the G is right there, right? Nice, fun chord to play. All right, now, we don't start with our third finger. We actually start with our fourth finger. And you've got 5 strings worth of downstrokes. So your first 5 notes are all downstrokes. Then you come up here, we've added that note because it's an extra G, which we have here as well. And that's an upstroke, then a downstroke on that high C, an upstroke on the G again, a downstroke on the E, and then the rest are upstrokes. Now remember, you drag your pick across like that. In the opposite direction as well when you're doing upstrokes. So you're actually running into the next string. And this is a good little exercise you can do all by itself. Just do this. And that helps you kind of understand how that flow really works. Okay. Pause the video and take some time here. Work this out. If you're still new to the economy picking thing, all the more reason to slow down, take your time, work the mechanics out. If you're familiar with it, go over this anyway, have some fun with it, and just get it smoothed out, because arpeggios are best when they're smooth and flowing, right? Then, when you're ready to continue, we'll move on to the next segment. In the written material, you will see the next melody. It's played over progression of E, G, A, C, and D. And so your first arpeggio is right out of the gate. It's playing part of a G, an E, G form of the E chord, right? And then we have a little bit of connecting tissue. And then we go to the A form of the G chord. connecting tissue, and then we go C form, little connecting tissue here, G form, G form, and then we start all over again. So pause the video and work this out and get it smooth and flowing. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play through to demonstrate what this is at. Full tempo is 96 beats a minute. Don't think you have to play it at 96 beats a minute. You don't. You learn to play it where it's smooth and flowing and sounds right. Okay? Here we go. 3, 4. And that's how it's supposed to sound. I know it's 4 bars and it goes by pretty quick at 96 beats a minute. But when you slow it down and you just work out all the mechanics, you know. Whoops. I know what I'm doing, right? Okay. And then you just move this up and start over again. So it's a nice circular little melody too. So again, as I said, pause the video, work through this, take your time with it, get the mechanics down, get the picking right, and then slowly smooth it out. And once you have it smoothed out reasonably well, bring in the metronome before you play to a backing track and get it really fine-tuned. That's going to matter a lot down the road. And I really encourage you, learn this, do this, integrate this, learn how it's done through these examples that I'm providing, okay? Then, when you're ready to continue, press play, and we'll wrap it up for part 1. All right, there you have it. The major versions of the C, the A, and the G arpeggios in the CAGED system. Again, I encourage you, work out the melodies to help you understand how these forms can be used in a melodic context. Don't gloss over, don't ignore them. Actually sit down and work them out. You're here to learn, so learn. Do the work. You'll be glad you did because it'll help you hone your economy picking skills. Even if you have some, this will continue to reinforce your economy picking abilities. If you're just learning economy picking, this is a great place to dig in and start really understanding what economy picking is all about and how it benefits you when you're doing things of this nature, because arpeggios require it. You can't do them well without it, right? Okay, so when you're ready for part 2, it'll be there. We'll see you then.